Ravi ji.
Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankaraचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Yasminavadhitam Mahavidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we will continue where we left off. We were discussing this particular mantra, and we had talked about the 6 factors which are necessary for clear speaking: Varnaha, Swaraha, Matra, Balam, Samaha, and Santanaha. So the first 4 we had completed, and I'll just meet all of you. Okay. The first 4 we had completed, and now we are on the first 5 we had completed, right? We had completed Sama.
We
I
had
think
to
so.
start Santana.
We have to start Santana. Okay. Now, Santanaha has nothing to do with Santan. Okay. What is Santan?
Child.
Children. Children. So, there's nothing to do with that. Santanaha here means combination of words and letters. So, you can think of it as Sandhi also. Sandhi is the same as Santana. So, there are, in Sanskrit grammar, there are very many rules. You know, how combination should be made, which when some words join, there'll be an intermediate letter. When some words join, there won't be, and so on. There are a lot of rules. And in chanting, the rule is that if it is a compound word, if it is a word formed out of a sandhi, when chanting, you should not split. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita chanting that we do, you'll notice that we are splitting. But there are some uh, traditional acharyas, you will note that the large words are not split. So I'll try to see if I can put up some sort of an audio for that. But the idea is that traditionally a compound word should not be split, but we do split for the sake of ease. Now, when you combine words, they undergo changes, right? And this is something which is peculiar or unique to Sanskrit only. For example, this in our Shanti mantra, the word is Sham Naha Mitra, right? Sham Naha Mitra. But you must have noticed that when this was chanted, it became what? Shanno Mitra, right? So the M and the N coming together, N plus a Visarga, Naha, Naha meaning us. So that Sham plus Naha becomes No, Sham No. So Shan No, not Ma, Shan No. Similarly, when we saw Namaha Brahmane, it became Namo Brahmane. And there is the very familiar greeting that we all use, Namaste. What is the Sandhi breakup?
Namaha plus te.
Namaha plus te. Te means to you, Namaha means greetings or obeisance. And therefore, Namaste is the word S, half S comes in the middle when it is combined. Namaha plus te, that half S replaces the Visarga. So, Namaste. So, many such rules are there. And those who do chanting, they simply follow the teacher. They imitate. Because the teacher knows the rules, and therefore you simply imitate and you learn correctly. Okay. Those are all, there's a whole, what do you call, text devoted to all this. It's not in our purview. We will not go there. But these 6 factors have to be followed when the Veda is chanted. And Shastra says that you either chant properly or you don't chant at all. Right? So there is a Veda Parayana, which a lot of people do. And for that, you must know the entire Veda by heart, which we don't. And so there is a simplified version also nowadays, compromise, so to say. If you can't do Veda Parayanam, for whatever reasons, time factor, you don't know, you've not learnt, at least do Gayatri Parayanam, because Gayatri is the compressed form of the Veda. That we'll see later on also. Now I will request Rajni ji to chant the third Anuvaka, the full Anuvaka. While taking it up for study, we will break it into pieces, but I would request that the whole Anuvaka be chanted.
Om Acharya ji. Om Sahanau Yashaha Sahanau Brahma Varchasam Atha Tassagam Hitaya Upanishadam Vyaakhyasyamaha Panchaswadhikaraneshu Adhilokamadhyautishamadhividyamadiprajamadhyatmam Tamaha sagumhita ityachakshate Athadhilokam Prithvi purvarupam Dyauruttara rupam Akashasandhihi Vayusandhanam Ityadhilokam Athadhijyautisham Agnif purvarupam Aditya uttara rupam Apasandhihi Vaidyutasandhanam Ityadhijyautisham Athadhividyam Acharya purvarupam Antevasyuttara rupam Vidyasandhihi Pravachanagum sandhanam Ityadhividyam Athadhiprajam Mata purvarupam Pitottara rupam Prajasandhihi Prajananagam sandhanam Ityadhiprajam Athadhyatmam Adharahanuh purvarupam Uttarahanuruttara rupam Vaksandhihi Jihva sandhanam Ityadhyatmam Iti mamaha sagumhitaha Ya evameta maha sagumhita Vyakhyata veda Sandhiyate prajaya pashubhihi Brahmavarchasena nadyena suvargyena lokena.
Thank you. Very, very nice. Okay. So now we will take up the study in parts. And well, I am nowhere as good as Rajni ji. So, but anyway, we will try to chant these portions which we are doing so that at least you guys get the feel of it, right? So please remember that my chanting is not in accordance with tradition. We will try. So we will chant the portion which we first take up. So please unmute yourself. Sahanau Yashaha
Sahanau
Sahanau Yashaha
Yashaha
Sahanau Brahmavarchasam
Sahanau Brahmavarchasam
Tastagam Hitaya Upanishadam Vyaya Khyasyamaha
Atha
Tathasagmhitaya
Samhitaya
Upanishadam
Vyakhyasama
Maha
Panchaswadikaraneshu
Panchasyadhikaraneshu
Panchasyathikaraneshu
Adhilokam adhijyotisam adhividyam prajamadhyatmam.
अधिलोकम्
अधिलोकम्
अधिज्योतिषम्
अधिज्योतिषम्
अधिविद्यमधिप्रजमध्यात्मम्
प्रजमध्यात्मम्
Amaha ityachakshate.
सा महासंहिता इत्याचक्षते
चक्षते.
So now you know why Rajniji chanted on road, right? Because we don't know the swaras very well. We are not practiced, so it goes all here and there. But anyway, I chanted so that you would know at least the words. So look at the words. Saha now, yashaha. May we both enjoy. What is yashaha? Fame. So saha now, yashaha. May we both have fame. And saha now, brahma varchasam. May we both have. Brahma varchasam is the glow on the face which comes out of chanting and studying the Veda. So that's called brahma varchasam. So a spiritual sort of a glow. So maybe both have that. And athaha. Ataha, ataha. So there's atha and ata, right? Two different words. Atha means what?
Therefore.
Therefore, now, after. And ata means what? Slide.
Now.
So ataha, ataha. Therefore what? Wherefore, because the student is now familiar with Vedic chanting, therefore I shall now teach Vyakhyasyaamaha. I shall teach what? Upanishadam Samhitaya. Meditation on the Samhitas. Samhitas is the joining of the letter, of the conjunction of letters. And Panchasam Adhikaraneshu. There are 5 topics which are related to Adhilokam, the worlds, Adhijyotisham, the Adhividyam, related to knowledge, Adhiprajam, related to children, and Adhyatmam, related to your own self. Asakshate taha, they are all called Iti Mahasamhita, the great conjunctions. And therefore, with this much, actually, the teaching is over. So he says, Taha Asakshate Iti Mahasamhita. The great 5 conjunctions have been taught. So, as I said, as you can see, this Anuvaka is a very long Anuvaka, and therefore I'm splitting into small purposes for the study purposes, small parts. In this Upanishad, the first chapter deals with Karma Yoga, the values and attitudes, and certain types of sadhana. Like here, the sadhana is chanting, Parayanam and Japa. This is also talked about. And the fourth type of sadhana is Pancha Upasanani, meaning the upasanas, the meditation using concentration on various objects. This is not Nididhyasanam, okay? So this is non-Vedantic meditation. So in English, if you want to translate the difference between Upasana and Nididhyasanam, Upasana is non-Vedantic meditation, having an object. Nididhyasanam is Vedantic meditation on the subject itself. So in this verse, in this mantra, the first Upasana is being discussed. It's called Samhita Upasana. And since we are looking at the Chandogya Upanishad also, you will see that there are very similar upasanas. And since we are not familiar with any of these, they look very tough. And there's a lot of technical portions involved. And unless you are very, very much immersed in the Veda, chanting, Parayanam, etc., these upasanas are not really practical today. And therefore, they are not generally practiced. Then why do we study them? Because as Vedic students, as Vedanta students, we should be aware of what were the Vedic upasanas, right? So academic interest you must have. And not only that, these mantras will come again and again in Brahma Sutras when we study them. And if you are not familiar, you'll be totally at sea. So when we do Brahma Sutras, it will be very, very a long study. At that point of time, We will only refer to the mantras and you will have to refer to your notes. There will be no time to introduce the mantras again and explain them. So this portion is very, very important. Of course, today all these Vedic upasanas are not done. And they are in fact, most of the upasanas today is from Puranas. And Puranas, you will find that Ekaropa Ishvara is the deity. And it's very simple upasanas. Okay. Okay. Now, when you study upasanas themselves are very sacred. And the study of the upasanas also is very sacred. Because without the study of the upasanas, without knowing the meaning of the upasanas, the benefits are very much reduced. And therefore, it begins with a prayer, right? Saha no yashaha. So this is dual case. In Sanskrit, there are dual cases also there. Two are there. Saha now. So, right? Naha is me. Now is both of us. Saha now yashaha. Yashaha is fame. So saha now yashaha. May both of us, who are the both of us, the teacher and the student, may both of us have a lot of fame. And saha now Brahma Varchasam. So that Brahma Tejas, that glow which comes out of spiritual study, may both of us have that glow. Right? So now remember that every Vedic student, considers that after he studies, he has of course received the knowledge from his teacher. But it is very essential that this student should also teach the others. Okay. In the old days, this was strictly applicable only to Brahmanas, right? A Kshatriya and a Vaishya were allowed to learn the Vedas, but it was not expected that they should teach. But today, of course, that has gone. So, as far as study is concerned, we are all Guna Brahmanas. And therefore, a Brahmana has to do what? Patnam, Pathanam, Yajanam, Yajanam. What is the meaning?
Teach.
Teach.
Pathanam, pathanam.
So
Learn,
study,
teach.
Pathanam, Patnam, study and teach. Then Yajanam, Yajanam.
To do the ritual and to also to
The
do
ritual
to get
for
it done
himself.
for get it done for the
Yes. Do the rituals for yourself and also help the others to do it. That means you all go and preside over their rituals. And because these scriptures have been passed along to me by the rishis, so I express my gratitude by continuing that teaching. That's why we say that in fact in Bhagavad Gita, if you remember, in the last chapter, Krishna says that the most dear person to me is the one who teaches, indicating that the person who is competent enough to teach, that is a primary duty. So the thing that I owe the rishis, I have a debt to the rishis, which is called Rishi Rinam. Okay, Rishi Rinam is what I owe the rishis because they have taught. How they have taught? Because of the Sampradaya. The tradition is there, and my teacher is from that tradition. And therefore, my gratitude is not just towards my teacher, but to the entire Sampradaya. There are many, many rishis in the Sampradaya. And this is called Rishi Rinam. And Rishi Rinam, there is only one way of, fulfilling that, paying back that debt. What is that? By teaching others. Now, there may be people who cannot teach for whatever reasons. What does such a person do? Okay, if he cannot teach, if his grasp of the language, or if his personal circumstances are such that he cannot teach, there is no problem. You should indirectly support any teaching. How? You give donations, you support a teacher, you support the institution which teaches the Vedas, and so on. In fact, there are many institutions in India which teach the Vedas. They are all functioning on donations only. So that kind of support is also a way of fulfilling or discharging a debt to the rishis. And therefore, here the student knows that after he has finished studying, he should be teaching. And if you want to teach, what should you have? Unlike today's world, where you only need a laptop, you know, you need a laptop and a Zoom connection. But in the old days, it was not that. For a student to teach, to become a teacher, he needed an ashram. And for that ashram, what does he need? Money. And if you need money, you must be well known, right? Unless you are famous as a good teacher, students will not come to him. And therefore, he says, let us both be popular, right? Why both? Because the guru does not need fame, right? A guru is already kritarthaha, completely fulfilled. In fact, a teacher can be a teacher only when he is fulfilled. So the student asks, the guru does not need it, but student asks for both as a measure of gratitude. Then more students will come to his teacher. Then, then he says, athataha sagimhitaya upanishadam vyakhyasyamaha. So, ataha. Now that I have learnt, now I am teaching you. Sagimhitaya or samhitaya upanishadam vyakhyasyamaha. When samhita is chanted, it has to be pronounced properly. Right? Correct pronunciation is necessary. And if you look at the atha of kata, atha means afterwards, after having learned how to chant. And in the traditional chanting, I don't know if you are familiar with the various parts. There are various ways of chanting, Pada Patha, Krama Patha, Jatha Patha, Ghana Patha. So if you want to look at them, there are very beautiful ways of chanting the same mantra. So you can note these names down and you can probably look at the YouTube. You'll be able to find the same mantra being chanted in different ways. In fact, I believe the Gayatri mantra is there in many, many ways of chanting. So you can simply type Gayatri mantra Ghanapatha and see what happens. So you'll find a different way of chanting. And all this is very good for the memory because unless all this is in memory, you can't really chant. And therefore, familiarity with all the letters as well as the various aspects of chanting is very important for a Vedic student in those days at least. Now, Upanishad here in this particular sentence, Upanishad means the upasana, the meditation, not the text. And Samhita means a combination of letters. So they are introducing a upasana called Samhita Upasana. Upasana, that is meditation, a combination of letters. What is this Upasana? Upasana requires an object, right? The Upasana Vishaya. The meditation on an object is required. Therefore, you require the object. Now, when you think of our culture or Sanatana Dharma, you will find that the real Upasana Vishaya is what? Usually a Devata, Shiva, Vishnu, right? And they are all abstract. And it is difficult to focus on something abstract because you need to visualize an abstract thing. So you don't know what Shiva looks like because Shiva is said to be all pervading. What do you visualize? Therefore, you can visualize. Human mind needs a finite structure to visualize on, to conceptualize the idea. A finite symbol is required, right? And therefore, for Shiva, we have Shiva Lingam. For Vishnu, we have what?
Saligram.
Saligrama. So these are stones. But once the Lord is invoked, that Shiva becomes that stone becomes Shiva Lingam. And the other stone becomes Saligrama. It is sacred for us, right? And this is called the Alambana. the substratum on which the Lord is invoked. So remember, the Vishaya, the object of meditation, is abstract, cannot be invoked straight away. The alambanam is finite and concrete. And therefore, by invoking the abstract Lord on the concrete alambanam, meditation becomes possible. Okay. Why am I saying all this? In this upasana, in the Samhita upasana, the alambanam is Samhita. Right? Samhita is what? The combination, the sandhi. Now, just to give you a taste of the various rules of sandhi, in the Yajurveda there are two words which appear in the first mantra. Ishe and Twa. Two words. Ishe and Twa. Now look at the word Ishe. It ends with a vowel A. Ishe. And look at the word Twa. It begins with a consonant. Right? Now, the in this explanation, you have to follow the words very carefully because there are a lot of technical words. The Ishe, in the word Ishe, the A part of it. Why A part of it? Because it is that A which is going to combine with the Ta. Right? The whole Ishe is not combining. E remains as it is. Sha remains as it is. But the A part, Ishe, that is combining with the Ta part. So this A is called the Purva Rupam, the former alphabet, or in this case, former vowel, Purva Rupa. And the Ta is called the later alphabet, or Uttara Rupa. Okay. Therefore, A is Purva Rupam, is Uttara Rupam. Uttaram here doesn't mean north or answer. Two meanings are possible. Uttaram also means later. And therefore, A is the Purva Rupam, the earlier alphabet. And the is Uttara Rupam, the later alphabet. And this Purva Rupam and Uttara Rupam, they join. Right? And when two things join, there is a junction for the joining. That junction is called Sandhi. So three words we have seen, three technical words. Pura Rupam, the earlier alphabet. Uttara Rupam, the later alphabet. And the junction called the Sandhi. So far clear? Any doubts? If you lose me here, you lose me everywhere. And therefore I'm asking.
Yes, Acharya.
Okay. Now, according to Sanskrit grammar rules, when, and it's for certain alphabets only, but in this case, when these two letters, the Pura Rupam, the A, and the Uttara Rupam, they come together at the Sandhi, at the junction, an additional letter comes into being to join them. Okay. That additional letter is put in between the two letters. So in between A and the, an additional letter is put. That additional letter is called the arriving letter, Sandhanam. So there are four words. Purvarupam, Uttararupam, Sandhi, and Sandhanam. Right? Sandhanam is defined in Sanskrit as Sandhiyate anene anena iti Sandhanam. That which links the previous letter and the later letter is called the Sandhanam. So when the new word is seen, the combined word is seen, this additional letter will be there. And when, in this particular case, when the A and the T combine, there is an additional half T which comes. Right? What were the two words? Ishe and Twa. So when they join, it becomes Ishetva. Ishetva. Ishe after and then the Twa. Ishetva. So in this, the A is the Pura Rupam. The T is Uttara Rupam. At the junction, the Sandhi, the new letter which comes, the Sandhanam, is Ta. Ishetva. That's a new word. Ishetva. Okay. When you break the Sandhi, that linking letter, Sandhanam, will disappear. And again, you will have Ishe and Twa. Okay. Are we focused? Or
Yes,
is
yes.
we are
Yes,
focused? Okay, it's very technical. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Now, this particular upasana is therefore called Samhita Upasana because you're going to meditate on all the factors involved in this Samhita. And we saw four words: Pura Rupam, Uttara Rupam, Sandhihi, and Sandhanam. These four are the alambanams, right? The the symbols on which we are going to invoke the upasana vishaya. So there will be one invocation on Purva Rupa, one on Uttara Rupa, one on Sandhihi, and one on Sandhanam. And in this meditation, in this upasana, all the four vishayas which are going to be taken on these four alambanams, they are associated with particular fields, right? So in the first upasana, you will take four objects, meditate on them, invoking each object on each of the alambanams, and then you will move on. You will dismiss the objects and you will carry out a second upasana using the same four alambanam, but using different vishayas. And then you dismiss the second vishaya and use another four vishayas from another field. Like that it goes on. Totally you will get 5 Samhita upasanas. So 5 sets of 4 objects, which means totally 20 objects are used for this meditation, for this upasana. Okay, one more technical technical word. I said each of the 4 objects are taken from different fields. So since there are 5 sets, there are 5 different fields, right? And each field is called adhikarana. That's why he says Panchasva Adhikaraneshu. There are 5 such fields from which 4 objects are taken. Now, you may think it is very, very, difficult to pass now because a lot of combinations, a lot of words which you have never heard of, a lot of rules which you don't know. But the answer is very simple. In those days, everybody used to study the Vedas for at least 8 to 12 years in the Gurukula. And they were completely familiar with Pada Patha, Krama Patha, Jata Patha, Gana Patha, everything. Because all these chantings are done using the Sandhi rules. That's why the word Atha. After being thoroughly familiar with the Veda Adhyana. And therefore, it will be easy for such people to use Vedic letters as the alambanams or Vedic concepts as the alambanams. Okay, now what is Panchadikaranam? What are the 5 fields? So that he gives Adhilokam, various lokas, Adhi Jyotisham, the various shining bodies in the sky, sun, moon, stars, Agni is also one of them. Adhi Vidyam, so Vidya here is Jnana. So Adhi Vidyam, the third field is related to Jnana. Adi Prajam. Prajam here means progeny, children. And Adhyatma. Adhyatma referring to yourself, your own body. Right? And then there are these 4 factors, of course. Purva Rupa, Uttararupam, Sandhihi, Sandhanam. They are the Maha Alambanams, the Maha Samhitas. Why are they called Maha Samhitas? Because in this Samhita, Upasana, Devatas are going to be invoked on these letters. And therefore, all the alphabets are connected to the Devatas. Therefore, the alphabets are also great. Okay. Now, four Devatas will be invoked in each of the five Adhikaranams, giving 20 Devatas in total. So, Ta Maha Samhita Itya Chakshate. So, Itya Chakshate, Iti Achakshate. So, Ta Maha Samhita, these great Vedic letters, all the five fields with the four objects, giving 20 in total, they are all called Upasanas. And they are great Upasanas because Devatas are being invoked on the letters. Therefore, the letter becomes the pratik, the symbol. And therefore, the letters also become sacred. Okay.
Acharya but what is that letter with the sandhi? It could be any letter.
No, we're coming to that. You have to invoke the Devata on a particular just you have to have
Okay.
patience.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now look at the next part. We are still in the first part of the thing only. So let us chant. Athadilokam
अथादिलोकम्
पृथिवी पूर्वरूपम्
पृथिवी पूर्वरूपम्
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 ध्यावृत्तररूपम्
धौ उत्तररूपम्
आकाशसन्धिः
आकाशः सन्धिः
आकाशसन्धिः
वायुसन्धानम्
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 इत्यदिलोकम्
इत्यदिलोकम्
So earlier was the background, right? Now it is the upasana. If you're anybody looking at the mantra pushpam, you will find that there are all different numberings over there, yeah. But remember that they are all part of the third anuvaka. So atha adhilokam. Now begins the meditation, upasana on the lokas. And Shankara in his commentary says atha should be taken as darshana krama. Darshana krama means the sequence in which the five upasanas are to be undertaken. You can't do them at random. They have to be done strictly in the order given in the mantras, and you cannot change the order. Okay. Now, Prithvi Purva Rupa. What does it mention? What does it mean?
The
पृथ्वी
prior word.
earlier the prior
Prithvi is the prior letter. Dhyau Uttara Rupa. Dhyau Swargaha is the posterior or later letter. So remember the example I gave, A and the, right? You have an early letter, you have a later letter, you have the joining, the sandhi, and you have the new letter, which is a linking letter. So here the same idea has to be applied. This is the actual meditation. Prithvi is the prior letter. Swarga is the later letter. Akasha sandhi. Prithvi and Swarga, they're meeting in space. So Akashaha is the locus, is the space, is the sandhi. And what is the linking factor? Vayu sandhan. The wind is that which is a new thing which links the earth and heaven. And iti adilok. Thus ends the meditation on the lokas. Okay, now as I said, in any combination, Any sandhi, there are four parts involved. The earlier alphabet, letter alphabet, the junction, the sandhi, and an additional letter which comes at the sandhi called sandhanam. But we should note, of course, that in all sandhis, the sandhanam need not be there. But in Samhita Upasana, these four factors are there. And upon these four factors, the four devatas have to be invoked. So when we say Prithvi Pura Rupam, the Prithvi Devata is being invoked same way the Swarga Devata, Dhyau Devata is invoked. Akasha Sandhi, the Akasha Devata is invoked. And Vayu Sandhana, the link which connects the earth and the heaven, could be invoked. In short, what are you saying? You are visualizing the whole universe on these four alambanams. And then what are you trying to do? You are trying to expand your mind by visualizing the whole universe, something like Virat Upasana. Ityadilokam. Thus ends the Adiloka Samhita Upasana. The universe is what? Brahmanda. And of course, my body is what?
Pind.
Pinda. Right? So that you must remember. This is the way the first invocation is done. Now you can see that we didn't mention which alphabet. But you could take any combination and do it. But remember, the combination needs to have these four. Pururupam, Uttararupam, Sandhi, Sandhana. Okay. So that is the first Upasana is over. Then we look at the second Upasana. We will read. Athavidyotisam
अथादित्योतिषम्
Agnif Purvarupam
अग्निपूर्वरूपम्
Aditya Uttararupam
आदित्य उत्तररूपम्
Vaidhyutasannanam
वैद्युतः सन्धानम्
I think you missed that
आपः सन्धिः
Sorry, I missed. Apasandhi
आपः सन्धिः
Vaidhyutasandhanam
वैद्युतसन्धानम्
Ityadi Jyotisham.
ज्योतिषम्
Remember, wherever it says iti, adi, so and so, the upasana is ending. So, and when it's athaha, upasana is beginning. So you can see the first one, atha, adi jyotisham. Now begins the upasana on the celestial bodies, and iti, adi jyotisham. Now ends the upasana on celestial bodies. So in between is the upasana. Right. So Agnihi Purva Rupa. Now the word Jyotisham is derived from the word Jyoti, any object which is shining. Chandra, Surya, Agni, etc. Right? That's why, astrology is called Jyotish, since it deals with all the sun, moons, planets. Now, Agni Purva Rupam is the first thing over here. Fire is the previous letter, right? And the fire here is the fire principle obtaining in Bhulokaha, in earth. And Aditya, the sun is the Agni Tattvam obtaining in upper loka. So you can see the similarity. Both are fire, both are heat. Agni in the Purva Rupam, it is the the heat principle on Bhuloka. Aditya is the heat principle in the upper lokas. And therefore, Bhuloka heat is invoked in Purva Rupam, previous letter. And Aditya heat, the heat of the sun, is invoked in Uttara Rupam. Now comes if you look at the beauty of it, Aap Sandhi, water is the connecting. Why do you say that? Is not connecting? Is the Sandhi, the space where the two will meet? And for understanding that, don't look at the rain, look at the potential rain, which is in the form of clouds. Where are the clouds?
Akash.
Akasha is between earth and Swarga, right? So, Apsati. Water is the joining. And here it says Vidyuta Sandhanam. The lightning is the new factor which connects the sky and the earth. How connects? Lightning originates in the sky and reaches the earth. And you can see trees are burnt by lightning, people get hit by lightning. So that is the connecting factor. Iti. Thus ends Adi Jyotisham. Now, if you look at it, in the first Upasana, the whole universe was the subject of meditation. In the second Upasana, what is subject? It is the natural forces which are present in the universe, because of which the universe runs. Okay. Any questions so far? No. Okay. We carry on. Now we'll say Athadividyam
अथादिविद्यम्
Acharya Purvarupam
आचार्यपूर्वरूपम्
Antevasuttararupam
अन्तेवासुतररूपम्
Vidhyasandhi
विद्यासन्धिः
Pravachanakam Sandhanam
प्रवचनगं सन्धानम्
Ityadivedyam.
इत्यधिविद्यम्
This is the third Samitopasana. And you can see now it's becoming easier. No? Atha Adhividya, Adhividyam. Now begins the Upasana on Vidya, on knowledge. Acharya Pururupam. The teacher is the earlier letter. Antevasi Uttararupam. Antevasi is who?
Gurukulavasi, or the
The
student.
Shishya. The Shishya. So Shishya is the posterior, the later letter. Vidya Sandhi. Where do these two meet? Where does the teacher and student meet? The knowledge is the junction. And what is the link? Pravachanam. The Guru's teaching is the linking factor. Iti Adividyam. Thus ends the meditation of knowledge. Right? The third meditation is on the educational field. So the teacher, what does he do? He studies, he himself has studied, collected the knowledge, compiled it. He teaches the children, but remember that he also lives by the teachings. And therefore, the teacher is one who does three things. Achinoti, acharayati, nacharati. He collects, organizes, he teaches, and acharati also. He follows the teaching. So this acharya, such an acharya is invoked in the Purva Rupam. Antevasi is the student. Here, ante really means samipe, close to. And Vasi is the one who lives. So Ante Vasi, the one who literally means the one who lives close to the teacher. So he's a student. And they come together for purpose of learning. And what is the link? The link is the discourses, the classes, the verbal communication. For example, this class is Sandhanam for us. Okay. We have enough time for maybe one more Upasana. So let us look at that. Athadiprajam
अथादिप्रजम्
Mata Purvarupam
मातापूर्वरूपम्
Pitottararupam
पितोत्तररूपम्
Rajasandhi
प्रजासन्धिः
Prajanakam Sandhanam
प्रजननं सन्धानम्
Ityadhiprajam.
इत्यधिप्रजम्
Okay. Atha Adhiprajam. Now begins Upasana related to Praja, children. Mata Purva Rupam. Mother is the prior letter. Pita Uttara Rupam. Father is the later letter. These two come together. Praja Sandhani. What is the place of coming together? The child. And Prajanagam Sandhanam. Prajanagam is the process of procreation. Therefore, that is the link. And iti Adiprajaha. Thus ends this particular meditation. So you'll notice that the mantras are very small. They don't give any methodology. They don't tell you which alphabet you take. Basically, it's for your understanding. But people who studied those days would have been doing these upasanas. For them, they are not needed to say which letters to take. Right? You can take any letter, any sandhi you can take. That is the idea. And one more thing is you look at the flow so far. You started with lokas. Then you came to natural forces. Then you came to education. Then you came to the family. What is the moment?
From the larger,
From big
From
to
the
small.
larger to smaller. From the
to the
macro
small,
to the
yeah,
micro.
to
From the
micro,
samashti to the veshti
samashti
is the
to
moment.
yes.
Right. So I think we have enough time for one more. So let us look at that. The fifth Samhita Upasana. Athaadhyatmam
Adhyatmam
adarahunuh purvarupam
adharahanuः
Purvarupam
uttararahanuttararoopam
uttarahanuttaraरूपम्
vaksandhi
वाक्सन्धिः
jihasandhanam
जिह्वासन्धानम्
ityadhyatmam.
अध्यात्मम्.
Okay. By now I think you are beginning to understand the flow, right? Atha
Yes.
adhyatmam. Now begins the upasana on the individual. So earlier upasana was what? It was up to the family. Now we are coming to part of the family. Veshti family to Veshti individual. Now begins the meditation on the individual. And Adaha Hanuhu Adhara Hanuhu Purvarupam. Right? So Purvarupam is what? The Hanuhu. The lower jaw. Adhara Hanuhu. The law which forms the Adhara support. So Hanuhu is the law, is the jaw. And because of that, you have the word Hanuman, the one who has a big jaw. Okay. So Adhara Hanuhu, the lower jaw, is the prayer letter. Uttarahanu, Uttararo. Right. So here use the word Adhara instead of Purvaha. Adhara means the supporting jaw, which is the lower jaw. Then Uttarahanu, the upper jaw, is the later letter. Vak Sandhi. When the jaws move, what is supposed to come? Speech. This speech is a junction. And Jivha Sandhan. The tongue is the link, which actually generates a speech. Iti Adhyatmam. Thus ends the Upasana on the individual. So, the physical parts of the body are being invoked in this Adhyatma Upasana. And that too, which part? That is the most active part because it is our mouth which wags all the time, right? Either you're talking or you're eating. This is so only when you are invoking things which you are very familiar with. So he's doing that. Right. Now, of course, the word Hanuhu means long jaw. And if the jaw is very long, then the man will look like a monkey. That's the word Hanuman. Vak Sandhi, the context, the place at which two jaws come together produce a speech. And Jiva is the Sandhanam. And they say that you must learn to be like the tongue. What is the logic? The human being,
Mm.
talk about married people, okay? The married person must learn to be like the tongue.
Flexible.
No, the tongue
The
is the
tongue
soft,
lives amidst
soft.
teeth,
Yes, the
but it
tongue
yet.
exactly. The tongue is the softest part of the body. It lives in the teeth. The teeth are compared to the family members, which are the hardest part of the body, right? And yet the tongue has to constantly interact with them, move between the teeth without being crushed by them. So one must learn from the tongue how to live in a family. Okay. So these are the factors which go into these upasanas. Now we will look at the next upasana later. Okay. I know many of you think that why are we doing all these upasanas? After all, we are all jnanis, no? But jnani should also know some upasanas. No? And I have no doubt that many of you are getting, sick to death of Chandogya Upanishad upasanas, because of upasanas. But believe me, you'll be very happy with all this. Oh. In Taitriya, luckily, you have only the first chapter, third chapter is upasana, second is completely jnana. But in Chandogya, 5 chapters are upasanas. And then only starts the jnana. But this will test your, resolve to study.
Titiksha.
And we admire your patience, Acharyaji.
And Acharyaji, it's actually very beautiful. It talks about how detailed it is about Vedas we
Yeah,
don't even know about.
I agree.
exactly.
That's the whole idea, to show you how beautiful our traditions are.
Yes. The perspective, the details, it's worth
Yes.
appreciating.
Especially for us, like who stay outside India, it's like you're so proud to say about where you come from, what are your roots. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's on the Vyavharika, but still, when you
Yeah,
say you're
but
from
when
India,
people
then
talk
this
about
is
Hinduism, you should be able to tell, that it's not about worshipping 1,000 gods, which is the normal thing that people say. You got so many gods, monkey god, this god, snake gods, tree gods. Explain. We got only one God. In fact, we got only God. We don't even one God.
all
There's
thanks
only
to you,
God.
Yeah.
Acharyaji. Thank you so much.
So
Yes.
with this we'll end for today. Om
Om
Purnam
Purnamada
Purnamada
Purnamidam
Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.
Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.